What's happening, everybody? We are back. Good to see y'all. Hopefully, y'all having a nice night. A lot of stuff going on. We got the NBA playoffs and some baseball, for the Yankees and Met fans out there. So, good time.
Listen. I got to come in because I want to apologize to everyone for this late start. I got love for my brother Ron and John, but I feel, Ron, that you should explain to everyone why we started late today. I'm out.
Okay, listen. Here's the
Throw
thing,
the grenade and leave.
Wow. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing, guys. Sometimes there's technical difficulties. I'm sorry for the late start. Look, this is what happens, okay? Sometimes in the world, look, when you're professionals, right? When you're out there and you got a craft and you're trying to do what you got to do, putting on a production of this magnitude, things happen. Lighting, sound, all these things, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, we ran into glitches. Programming. Okay, really what happened was I thought I couldn't hear them, but my volume was turned off. Okay, and we're back. Listen, it happens to the best of us. I don't know who it happens to but me, but it is what it is.
Hey, listen, I'm on the other end, right? And right now what I'm seeing is last week's scorecard. So I'm not sure if we got it all together just yet either.
Okay, so we're working things out. We're getting through it, guys.
So we'll do our best. We'll do our best.
There we go. Ew. Salute to the chat. We see y'all. Big task at hand. Always a pleasure. Good to see you. Geraldine McIver. Salute as always. Blorange Tears in the building. What's good, Uncle Freezy? How you doing, brother?
Yes, sir. I am back. I got it all together. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we good now. Yes, sir. Yeah, guys. Right. Listen, this just tells you what you're in store for. Anything can happen in this show. So, yeah, man, you gotta love it. And I'm sweating right now with the sweater on. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. All right.
We hit the spring.
Yeah, we definitely did, and we're about to have some nice weather. I can't wait. As I was saying, so you got baseball going on, Mets and Yankees. They're both in first place at the same time. Ooh, let's go!
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
We're in May.
You got NBA playoffs right now. Miami versus the 76ers. That's a good game so far. Then let's not forget this. We had a great NFL draft. The Giants got some fantastic picks, especially that first round. And the Jets had a wonderful draft. I'm not a Jet fan, but I'm not opposed to them either. There's nothing wrong with the Jets. So, for those Jet fans out there, I'm sure you guys are happy. So good for y'all.
All right. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
There you go.
I agree.
So I thought what was very interesting because, when I was thinking about, oh, no. Okay, good. They caught it. Nemo caught a possible home run ball at the wall from Acuna. Okay, let's go, baby.
Very good. Very good. Woo!
Live sports, folks. Anyway, I was thinking about, what we're going to talk about tonight, and I was thinking about the Knicks and different moves that they can make and all these other things that might pop up, right? But lo and behold, to me, the news just writes itself. I start scouring the internet, and Rudy Gobert he's just putting it on a tee for us, man. He puts us in a situation where like, yo, could Rudy Gobert be the missing link for the Knicks? Maybe on the front office, not on the team, but he's working his magic right now, and I'm with it.
So what's the latest on Rudy?
So Rudy Gobert had something to say, folks, and this is all speculative and allegedly, but according to the Twitterverse, right? Rudy Gobert, this is Sean O'Connell said this, right? From
who is
Real
this
OC
Sean
Sports.
O'Connell? Okay.
Listen, But the good thing about this is not one of those fake Twitter accounts that be trying to get you with the buzz. It's not one of those. This is a real Twitter account. So apparently, he had something to say, and he basically said that it's time for the Jazz to make a decision. Okay, it's either you trade me or you trade Donovan Mitchell. But he doesn't want to come back next year with the same team because he feels there's issues. And I'm paraphrasing because the words that he has here could be paraphrased. Apparently, it says Rudy feels that his own numbers are consistent or getting better, while Donovan, is the liability and is falling off in terms of explosiveness. Gobert also aware of at least one Western Conference power that would be willing to pay handsomely for his abilities. So this is interesting because on the Know the Ledge show this past weekend, we talked about Donovan Mitchell, and one of the things I brought up, which I'm not trying to take credit for something that could be obvious to most, but the concern for me is his explosiveness. I feel that Donovan's not as explosive as he used to be. He used to be an incredible leaper. Basically, I would say you compare him to who can you say in today's game is like Donovan Mitchell when he came into the league?
Dwayne Wade.
Maybe.
Dwayne Wade.
What'd you say?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. Yeah, like Dwayne Wade in his prime when very explosive of that nature. Like you never knew exactly what he was going to do. I guess you could say today Anthony Edwards is like that.
Yeah, he's 5 years, 6 years into his career.
Yeah, because we're in 2022, and Donovan came into the league in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we've got some highlight clips of Donovan in 2017 that we can start showing, and that gives you an idea of the level of his explosiveness. And I'm not saying Donovan can't do some of this stuff, but he was on another level at this time, folks.
Right.
That's 5 years ago, so it's understandable.
He was jumping. But he's come off a couple of injuries too, right?
No, he hasn't sustained anything serious. He's actually been fairly healthy. So, this is just time. Sometimes that happens. I mean, he can still dunk on people. It's just this was a different level of explosiveness. Right. Oh, watch yourself. Oh, what happened there? Oh, man. Losing guys.
Nice layup package.
Yeah, like he just I mean, the leaping ability, the shot creation, it's just something that you can't account for that. Like that's natural.
Who had one of those this year? RJ Barrett.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. What's going on here? Dribbling. Look at this seat of his pants.
Okay, that's a little Harlem Globetrotter.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Curly Neal, was that the point guard for the Harlem Globetrotters? Or was it Curly Neal or something like that?
Curly, yeah.
I believe so.
I remember him as Curly. Oh, man. Okay. So, look, I mean, he had a little razzle-dazzle in him. Mm-hmm. Who says he can't facilitate?
I would, if there was a chance or a possibility of us getting him, I would move one of our point guards and make him a point and put him at the point guard position for the Knicks and not play him at the two. But that's just me.
I can understand that. And you know what? That gives the Knicks more flexibility. Unless you were, not saying that that's the case, but if somehow you were able to get Jalen Brunson and him, then okay, that's one thing.
I want to stay away from Jalen. Yeah, I want to stay away from Jalen.
You're not sold on him. I got you.
I'm not. Yeah, I think we could find someone comparable to what he brings. And plus, I'm like looking at the playoffs right now, and I'm looking at even the what was the game? The Pelicans game. Outside of Jose Alvarado, their team they got length. You know what I mean? And just looking at those athletic guards with their size, it causes problems for other teams on the defensive side. So I would love to see the Knicks be able to, go with a taller point guard. Like Mitchell being 6'4", he doesn't have to be ultimate facilitator, but he'll apply the pressure as a number one option. So you always have to, find him on the court. You know what I mean? And that would just open up the court for him to, swing a few passes like that one. And of course, he's capable. He's a capable passer. Is that he doesn't do it on a high volume because he's expected to score the bucket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he get anywhere close to that leaping ability was sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still, like I said, he's still a good leaper, but you could just see it's different. Like when you have that top tier leaping ability, you can the creation that he does, it bails him out. He can, he can really do some things that you can't guard against.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, we've seen him do some nice things, but we haven't seen him do anything like he was doing in 2017, 2018, stuff like that.
Right. There may be some wear and tear that no one's really paying attention to.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that the other thing that has me thinking with regards to him is just the fact that he has made strides offensively. I think his shots, like his actual shooting, is better now because he's he's been in the league. He's a little craftier. He's smarter. He knows how to get his shot off. But it's just that when his shot is not falling, because he has we've talked about it. He has levels of inconsistency with his shot. And so that's where that explosiveness and that high level of athleticism being, not being there, that's when it's felt.
Right. He's also a high volume shooter, though.
He is a high volume shooter. You're right.
Especially with this team. So
yeah, the way they use him is really weird. But that's also because they don't have a lot of scoring options over there. So that's the thing.
And that's
you
my
bring
point.
him to a different situation, put scoring options around him. We have a few that aren't bad. Maybe
I would again. I'm looking forward to next season going with Cam and RJ, and moving Cam to the 3 position and moving RJ to the 2. So if you bring in a guy like Donovan, you play him at the 1 to start, and then you probably find a trade chip for Quick. You know what I mean? Keep McBride because McBride is you don't know what you have yet, and then make room. Because you're gonna have to make room, and I don't think they're gonna make room by moving from Rose. I don't think that's what they're planning to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that if I mentioned this, if they did trade for Donovan, I think Rose comes back into play. I think that's a guy that you want to have on your team at that point because you're gonna give away chips or players. Yeah,
I agree. And you would have to give away a few players,
right? And it's not like these teams want Derrick Rose at this point. At this stage, right? Yeah,
in his career for sure.
Yeah. So it's interesting to figure out what they're gonna do. And like the other thing is like I'm wondering at this point. All right, say he doesn't even forget the Knicks. I mean, we want him. I mean, I think most people would like him, but do you see a way that this can coexist at this point? Do you see them coming back with the same with Gobert and Donovan again?
I mean, Utah.
If this
think
is true, and Gobert did say this, if it's true,
I mean, regardless if it's true or not, I think it would end up becoming Donovan's choice, right? Because it's sort of his franchise. It really isn't Gobert's franchise. I mean, Gobert got the payday, but it's still you the one who's carrying that team offensively is Mitchell, and you can't really do much with Gobert because he's not a go-to center. He's a defensive center. He's not going to give you anything outside on the offensive end. Like you're not going to be able to play off of him. So it's going to be Mitchell's decision whether he wants to find a new location or not. So
yeah. I think that at some point, I think what worries me about Donovan is that I don't want him to get into the Damian Lillard mix because Donovan seems very loyal and he seems like he's a guy who doesn't want to quit and doesn't want to give up on his team. But at a certain point, if they tried to build it a certain way, and these players have all, now Conley's older and then you don't have offensive firepower. They gave a lot of money to Gobert. Donovan's got his contract. So at some point, you got to say, well, maybe I need to make a change, or am I just going to be stuck here for the next 5 years with no chance of winning a chip?
I don't think Mitchell is that caught up in Utah. I don't think he's got a lot at stake in Utah. If he had stuff at stake in Utah, I would say yes, but I don't think he's committed to Utah like Lillard is committed to Portland. And at the time, remember, Portland just recently dismantled that team because year after year they were going for it and it just didn't work with the pieces that they put in place. And they even brought Mela to help him out. So
right.
For me, I think Donovan has more of a stake at either Miami or New York as a prime location, and he knows that he can really fulfill a lot of his own personal dreams. You know what I mean? Being a number one in a big city, that's number one. Being a franchise player is another, and then he has his roots in New York, so I could see him wanting to play for a New York team. He's always been a New York guy. He is a New York Knicks fan, as he stated himself growing up. And he's not the only player who's talked about being a New York Knicks fan. You look at Towns, who just recently got bumped. He also openly said he grew up a New York Knicks fan and is still a New York Knicks fan and hopes to see the franchise shift at some point. So there's a possibility that at some point in his career, he may want to, find himself in a Knicks jersey also. So,
right.
It's always something you look at as someone who was born and raised in New York. There's something about the lure of playing for your home team. So, if you haven't had the chance to, at some point you may want to.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the stones to deal with it, I kind of feel like this might be the Knicks' best chance to go get somebody for a while. Maybe something presents itself later down the line, but this might be their best chance that they've had to actually try to bring somebody in here since the days of Melo. So, and I think, even though we talked about it, Donovan has his own inefficiencies and we know he's not good defensively. I'm starting to think that, as much as I always say, I'm real negative with this stuff that nobody wants to come to New York. They've proven that they don't want to come here. I think you got to force the issue. I think bringing a guy like Donovan gets you, a couple players' interest. I'm not saying a whole league, but it gets you the interest of some players. So I mean, sometimes you got to make that move.
From what I could tell, Donovan Mitchell is well liked in the league. So
yeah.
So he's not one of those players that rubs people the wrong way. So a player like of his stature comes to New York, there's a possibility that they could find some other players to want to play with his skill set. You know what I mean? And again, it all depends on who we decide to move away from if we were to have the chance to grab a Donovan Mitchell, right? I would automatically assume that you're going to have to move a couple of players like Burks potentially quickly, and Randall for someone of Donovan Mitchell's stature. He's going to commit a lot plus some draft picks. You know what I mean? So, it would all depend on who gets moved.
Right. No, I agree with that. I definitely think you're right about that. But I definitely think that it's something that I think he's gonna at some point. I think the writing's on the wall. That matchup, that relationship between him and Gobert has been so toxic for so long. I don't even know how they've been able to coexist because they are professional. I'll give that to them. When they're on the court, they do what they got to do. But I think Donovan is probably gonna make a move.
Because there's so much you could deal with someone's childish behaviors, right? If you're in a business, right? At the end of the day, the NBA is a business, and you want to handle yourself professionally, but you also want to make sure that as a teammate, you want to have each other's back. and also you want to not only prove it on the court, but be the same sort of model outside of the court that you are on the court, right? And that's really the hit on Gobert. He tends to be a bit childish,
Right.
and doesn't really likes to play, um, play into the media's hands. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Donovan has been brought up in a situation where he's so sort of a pro's pro because of
Mm-hmm.
his background, growing up around, athletes all his life,
Right.
understanding from his dad what people want to see, what managers want to see, what coaches want to see on and off the court. So he's sort of a creature of habit, and he brings all really strong, good qualities with him. So that's a plus for me. Even if his leaping ability has dwindled a bit, I still think you find a way. The top notch players, they find a way to get it done, even when their athleticism starts to dwindle away. So
No, I
we'll see.
agree. I agree with that. And let me see here in the chat. Big task at hand said, but Ron, say the Knicks managed to bring in Donovan Mitchell. Do they move on from Coach Tibbs? I mean, they're
They haven't
probably
met
not.
any.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think Tibbs is going anywhere. But does this work in
Does that
Tibbs'
matter?
favor? No, I don't think. I think it actually works in Tibbs' favor. I think having a
Right.
guy like Donovan definitely will give Tibbs a little bit more excitement because he knows he's got a closer type. Donovan's hit some big shots. He's done some really nice things in fourth quarters in the past. Plus, he's just a star player who can get buckets. Right. On the defensive end, Donovan might be a lot easier for Tibbs to disguise. Like he couldn't disguise Fournier, and he really couldn't disguise Kimba because of their abilities. But Donovan, even though he may not be a good defender, at least he has athletic ability and he can move
Mhm.
around. So you can work with that.
Right. Yeah, there's no indication that the Knicks are going away from Tibbs. So we gotta just assume he's going to be here for the long haul. You know what I mean? Like until it's shown otherwise, right?
Right.
Right now, this is pretty much what we're set. This what we know is set in stone. What we don't know is what's going to happen in the draft and what's going to happen during the offseason if we either going to make a move or not, or we're going to stay put. So we definitely got to wait and see. Um, but I love the idea of having Donovan on this team, as it will be an upgrade. And then hope that we, put some pieces around it if we can.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think that it's something that they really have to strongly consider
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's worth a shot. Like and I also think that as a Nick organization that really doesn't have anything to lose because no matter what you do, the franchise still profits. People still come
It's
to the
true.
games. You could basically
Right.
do anything. See, that's the flip side of it, and I never thought about before. Like they could do whatever they want. The Knicks, the owner still makes money. You could try. Let's try this. Let's try that. Because it's not
Mm-hmm.
like you can still lose your job, yes, but the organization itself still profits. So that's
But
that's
here's
an
the thing
interesting feeling.
too. Here's the thing too. Like there's been so many ways to build a franchise, right? So there isn't like a. Of course, you have ideas of what it could be done wrong because we've done it wrong for so many years. But there is that you can do it right in so many other ways, right? And so
Hmm.
it just all depends on what's the timeline, you know what I mean, that they've given themselves because they're not sharing that with us, the fans. But what is the timeline
Right.
that they're working on, and who are the players that they're strongly committed to keeping, right? And of course the front office hasn't been open and honest about that either. So at least to the fans, right? So to that degree, we gotta wait and see. And until then, we're sort of just playing this, wish this could have happened, wish that, you know what I mean, that could have happened, and we pretty much are trying to be optimistic, but we wouldn't really know until the final product is on the floor.
Very true. Very true. I agree with you on that. We'll see what happens. This is just the beginning. Like, there's so much time. The offseason hasn't even started yet. This whole situation and saga can drag out for quite some time. I just don't want what I hope that this organization and this front office does at this point is don't put yourself in a situation where you're like attached to this guy and he strings you along. I'm not saying that's what Donovan's intent would be, but we don't want to be in the same situation we've been with other stars, with the LeBrons, the Kyries, the Durants. They drag this whole thing out for so much time, and it almost looks inevitable, and then we get hit with the whammy. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing. New York media or any site that's sort of playing off of the Knicks have a tendency of throwing names out because of clickbait, right? And you have Knicks fans, as we are, we're so extreme when it comes to like potentially grabbing onto a free agent or a possible trade, or someone, a budding star, that we'll feed into it. We'll talk about it, and we will create its own legs. You know what I mean? They just have to put it in front of us, and it just starts to create its own little buzz. And so that we sort of do it to ourselves as fans. I try to, stay away. It's cool that, these stories come out, but until I hear it from a player's mouth, you know what I mean? Like a Ben Simmons that said, I'm no longer wanting to play, or a Harden saying, I want to move and I don't want to be here. I got to take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean?
know you hate speculation and conjecture.
I know. Yeah, I'm not with it.
I hear you. Once again, salute to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know there's a lot of sports going on. There's other shows going on right now. It's a hot time. It's busy right now. Salute.
What that reminded me of when you said that?
What?
Remember the high school days when people be like, yo, son is dating this person, and they'd be like, oh, word, and then you think this person is is locked in, and then all of a sudden you find out later it was all bull crap, and then you're like, yo, you could have shot your shot.
Right, and then by the time you think you can, it's too late.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't for that, man. All that high school drama, like, come on, man.
That's a fact. You ain't lying.
They're scared that you may take your shot. It happens a lot. It happened a lot. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, man. That's why I learned early, like, yo, if you're going to shoot your shot, shoot it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Salute to Canal Ban Lauya. What's going on? Be Civilized. What's good? B Willis. Keith Turner. Quality Jumper in the building. Good to see y'all, man. Good to see y'all. So, I've been looking at different scenarios and different stuff on the internet. There's been a lot of interesting little trade rumors and talk, but these are not rumors. They're trade scenarios. Just somebody saying, you know what? Let me put my little scenario out there. What might help the Knicks, and see how it gets scooped up by the people and what they think about it. So I saw one. Actually, it was a couple, right? And I picked out one because I thought it was interesting. I don't know how people would feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it, but there is a trade scenario involving Julius Randle that someone posted, right? So, shout out to NBA Analysis Network. They had a trade scenario where the Golden State Warriors would receive Julius Randle and Evan Fournier, right? And the New York Knicks would receive James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins. Now, hold on, guys. I know you hear this and you automatically is saying, whoa, what the hell would I want with James Wiseman? We haven't seen him play. Andrew Wiggins doesn't really do much in Golden State. But keep in mind, Golden State has a lot of different offensive options over there, and the way they play really isn't conducive to the way Andrew Wiggins' game is. like he's not a 3-point shooter. So, you know, that's why guys like Clay, guys like Steph and Jordan Poole really flourish over there, because the way they move and the way the ball rotates, they get all these 3-point opportunities. For Wiggins, he's more of a, you know, inside slasher, mid-range shooter. He can hit a three occasionally, but that's not his game. So if you put him in a situation where he is more of a primary type scorer and he can do his thing a la DeMar DeRozan, maybe, because he's more of a DeMar DeRozan than he is a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson,
Right.
might be an interesting scenario. And you get the Canadian connection. What do you think about that, John?
I mean, for who we're giving up, I actually love that trade. You know, I understand Evan is you know, of course, got the historical 3 points, you know, pointers made, you know, for Knicks, and that's cool. But I think you're gonna need a little bit more than that. And I think Wiggins gives you a really good second option type scorer, could potentially be a number one top scorer. Again, he's moved around. He's learned a lot over the last few years. I'm sure he's learned a bunch and a ton playing this season with the Golden State Warriors and last. I think there's no better learning than on the game experience, right? And learning for himself what it's like to play with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond, understanding the game, you know, being exposed to that type of play can only benefit him in his career. So I love this move. James Wiseman has tremendous upside. So I like that. I think his biggest hurdle is just staying healthy. But if we look back at his him coming out of Memphis, you know, and being trained and coached by Penny Hardaway, and Penny has high praise for this kid. And Penny Hardaway is known for his IQ more than anything else. He has to understand talent. So I like this. I like this a lot. If it was proposed to me, I would have made the trade yesterday.
Hey, listen, John, don't hold back. Tell us what you really feel, bro.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It almost is a no-brainer, right? Like, because you're really trying to, I mean, as a fan base, right, you're really trying to move away from Randall. I'm not saying as a front office they want to, but as a fan base, us fans, I think we're done with the Randall experiment. You know, so
Yeah, I think, yeah, you might be right. I tell you one thing, the trade would be something that we could benefit from. It's not a horrible trade. It's getting decent value for what we're giving up. It'd be nice to throw a pick in there too, but you know, whatever. It is what it is.
think about it like this: who's the better player, Randall or Wiggins?
See, that's the thing.
Okay,
I think
we got somebody jumping in. We got somebody jumping in.
I don't know. I think if Randall goes to Golden State, like that could be huge for Randall. Like he could really benefit. The only thing I worry about with him, a guy like Randall going to Golden State, is what negative stuff would he pick up? And it sounds weird, but I wouldn't have worried about that until this year. And I say negative, meaning his relationship with a guy like Draymond Green, who doesn't have a lot of control with himself. So that
wouldn't have nothing to do with us.
We wouldn't care. I know you were going to say that. At this point, we wouldn't care. But I'm just wondering.
That would be Steph's problem at that point.
Right.
Because that's his squad, so he would have to manage that with Kerr. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Keith Turner says the Warriors ain't going for this trade. When you when you all come up with these trades, think about the other team and does it make sense for them? But why doesn't it make sense for them? James Wiseman hasn't done anything for them. You know they're a small team. They don't have any true bigs over there, right? You got a guy in Draymond Green who is a really good defensive player, can rebound a little bit for you, and is a good facilitator. He gets assists, but he can't score. right? You go into some lulls against certain teams that have bigs that the Warriors can't combat. What they do is they try to stay in the game and then get into a spurt where they can run off threes and get transition baskets, but that doesn't always happen. They got fortunate in this past game against Memphis that they were able to get on a spurt in the fourth quarter. They were able to take the lead. Things were clicking, but Memphis still had a chance to win the game. At the very end, it came down to Ja missing the last shot. So it's a thing that you're going to have to deal with. And actually, I think
I agree with the chat though. Like this is sort of like a no-brainer. If the Knicks receive this sort of trade,
like, oh yeah, for the Knicks, it's a no-brainer. Like it's not a bad trade at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just on the Golden State side. I don't think it's horrible.
I don't see a fit either, though. To be honest, like I don't see a fit random. I see a fit more with the LA Lakers than I do with the, you know what I mean? And them moving away from one of their players. Maybe Anthony Davis or a LeBron. But I don't see Randall fitting in with the Golden State. Not the way they play. They're high tempo. They like to spread the court. He's not a volume 3-point shooter. Outside of rebounding, what are you getting? Because he's not going to do anything on the defensive end like that.
But I think he could be their inside presence that they don't really have one.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I don't think they play like that though. They wouldn't have to, right? Like think about their scheme. Their scheme isn't to drop it down low. And you know what I mean? Like that's not the team that they are. They run pick and rolls, pick and pops. They're always moving. They're constantly moving. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll fit.
I mean, I hear you.
Where's this rumor coming from, by the way? Where did you hear this one? Did you see it on
this is from the NBA Analysis Network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a weird one. It's a thought out rumor, but it's not. There's no legs to it. There's no, They got no teeth in the game here. This is just one of those rumors. So,
right. By no means this was anything that we threw in the air. So
no, yeah, I didn't make it up. I'm just reporting it because I saw it and I said, you know what? There's something to talk about. It's interesting because listen, it gets Julius out of here and it brings some players back to the Knicks.
Right.
But I also do think I'm not sold on Julius being set in his ways. With the Knicks, yes. But if you take him and put him on a championship contender, he might change the way he plays a little bit to be around other star level players because they command the respect.
It's possible.
That's what I'm saying.
It's possible. I can't commit to saying he wouldn't, but you know what I mean?
But I hear you.
He's still young. He's what, 26, 27?
Yeah.
He could take a back seat.
He's 27. There's still, time. So we don't know. Like I said, it's just the rumor, guys. Just something to talk about, a scenario that I thought would be interesting, but it also gives you an idea of the type of haul that, might make sense that we could get for Julius and Fournier if we combine them. But I honestly don't think – I think if we do trade Julius, I think the Knicks will figure out a way to keep Fournier. I don't think both of them go because I think, Fournier gives them something specific, and they could use that. So we'll see. We'll see.
I could see him being moved for Mitchell, though.
Yeah, well, I can see that.
If the numbers make sense, you know what I mean? Like, you would have to match the numbers, of course, but like packaging Randall and Fournier to Utah, I could see that. With some other players and stuff, like I could see it.
They would still have to go out there and bring in, maybe through the draft or something. They would still need another shooting guard to help them out with, some scoring because that team still struggles. Even if you bring in Julius, that team still has an issue scoring baskets.
But that's what I mean. That's why you package him with Fournier to Utah.
Okay, for that, all right. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But then you would have to make the numbers work with Donovan. And, to make the numbers work, you may have to add another player or two plus draft picks, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
But I could see a Utah team going in that direction because again, Gobert is not a he's an all defensive player, right? But that's all he's known to be. You know, he hasn't shown much of anything else offensively. So, you know, there's some other pieces in that team that obviously take on the scoring, but then you match the defense, and then you bring in a Fournier who's a high, you know, percentage shooter from the 3-point range. You're still going to need someone to penetrate and be able to get to the basket, you know, and again,
Right.
you can't, Randall doesn't, it's not necessarily a number one option, but almost is a really solid number two. So you would have to match him up with someone else. But I could see that more of a possibility than a move to Golden State.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing I was going to tell you before we were talking about Jalen Brunson, the other thing is depending on what happens in the series, that's another thing. Like Jalen Brunson could be, you know, this is James Jones. Was it James Jones that we had got who had a great playoff run? We gave him all types of money. He came here and he sucked. I think not James Jones. It was
about Fred Jones?
No, it's James something James maybe the big guy. I can't remember.
Oh, Jerome James.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Seattle.
We gave him a bag, B. That was bad.
But that was a bad, like, just bad scouting. You know what I mean?
Like, that was bad.
That's just bad scouting. Because even when he came into the Knicks, everybody was like, "Oh, what the hell are they doing?" Because all the Knicks fans knew he was a bust. Bad. Like there was nobody at that time who I was like they were like hype about Jerome James.
Yeah, that was
I don't
crazy.
recall anyone being hype about Jerome James when he got here.
I mean,
I think everybody was like, "You got who?"
I think we gave Jared Jeffries a mini bag too. Like, I don't know. Knicks was wild.
Yeah, Jared's defensive player, but that's all. I mean, you know, I rooted for him because he was a good guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
he was a good guy.
He played hard. You know what I mean? So I rooted for him, but he wasn't like,
even though Carmelo sucker punched
you know what I
mean? But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but he wasn't the guy, right? That's the Martin Collins days. You know what I mean? Like, that was a weird team.
Yeah, that was interesting. Keith Turner said, honestly, the front office is not even ready to move on from Randall. They're not to the point yet. I agree. I don't think Randall's going anywhere. Do I think Randall should go somewhere? For me, yes. But that's me. Like, that's my opinion. I think that marriage is not going to be a good one going forward because I've seen Julius have moments where he's going to do something that the Knicks fans don't like. And Knicks fans have a short, you know, they long memory, should I say. They don't forget.
Right. And it's only going to take a moment, right, for him to just get off kilt, which is bound to happen next year. And there are going to be some people who are going to give him, you know, a longer leash than others. You know, I just think for fan base as in total, I think we're done with the experiment. We're coming up on his fourth year with us.
Yeah. Jay Boogie's in the chat. What's going on, Jay Boogie? Blessings as always, brother. I think that Quality Jumper probably nailed it. We got to deal the vets. I think first off, we don't have any vets outside of Derrick Rose that I think have to be here. And even Derrick Rose doesn't have to be here, but if he's healthy, I think he deserves to be here. But if he, you know, that's the whole thing. Is he healthy? Will he be healthy?
And at the end of the day, you're counting on him to be a bench player. You're not counting on him to be a starter. You know what I mean? And if you believe in some of the young players that we brought in, like a Quick, like a McBride, and Grimes, you're hoping that those kids take a leap, right? They start to build on their future and on their skill set. So if in case Rose goes down again, you're not really putting all your eggs in one basket. You're really leaning on these kids to get better and mature as players. So that you
Right.
don't lose anything if Rose goes down. However, there's also, the other side of it is that if you keep allowing Tibbs to, have those options, he's always going to lean on those options. So at some point, I think there needs to be a move where Taj becomes a coach. You know what I mean? I see him going into that role with the Knicks. And if he plays another year, then, limit his minutes. But that's the problem. Tibbs is super comfortable with the way he plays, understands that he can rely on him to play the sort of defense and game that he wants to play as a coach. But, I think the biggest thing for those two guys is their mentorship, right? They come in, they have the right attitude. They come in, they can mentor the young players coming in and teach them the right way to do things. Then you get the opposite effect with Randall because he doesn't seem to lead by example.
Right. And I got to tell you, I mean, honestly, when I even think about the Knicks moving on or trying to do any trades and stuff, I'm really doing that for the other Knicks fans. I'm really, trying to, see what would help the team because I know the guys, most fans want more star power on the team. I personally, like I said, I don't know. I guess maybe because I'm a victim of being a fan of bad teams for so long that when I see a team that has young guys on it, I just want them to be able to get better. And I see that they have talent and I just want them to grow with us to the point where they all achieve a better level of their game. And then we bring in the star player or some other type of player that's really good role and that team just takes off. It's kind of like, as much as I don't want to give them any credit for what they do, the Yankees blueprint of the 90s, how the Yankees farm system was the core, and then they put other players surrounding them. That core was strong. And that was the key.
Well, you have a chance of doing that, right? With these young players that you acquired over the last. You have the opportunity to do that, but again, you have to then move away as quality jumpers, saying move away from the older vet players, move those contracts and get younger. And then you got to be willing to play them. You know what I mean? They have to be able to play quality minutes in order to explore what they could potentially do. Because if they're not a good fit, how do you build trade value to get rid of them? You can't. Right. So they become another knock story. And at that point, what are you giving up for not? You know what I mean? Like we got lucky with the Cam move. I don't think that, we're going to get that lucky with other players. So
that's a good point. And you know what? Cam is a nice player to listen. There's potential there. We don't know what can happen with it, but he's also a nice player to flip.
Correct. He has high value. He has high value still, right? So around the league, you got guys like you're going to look at Grimes has high value. You know what I mean? Right now with this past season. You look at Obi, there's value now because people see what he could potentially become or do on the court. You have value in Mitch. You have value in IQ. You don't necessarily have the same value in McBride because he hasn't played enough. You know what I mean? So it all depends on what teams need, right? If there's a need and the Knicks can fill that need, they're definitely going to inquire about those players. But the Knicks have to make their choices. They have to. The front office has to make the hard choice of deciding which players they plan to stick with, and which players are players that they're willing to flip. And they're never going to be open to the fan base about that. And if they choose to stay with Randall, then they have to find the right mix, because as of right now, Randall can be your Achilles heel to get anywhere in the future, and it's not really about him, not being a good player. It's more about him not having the right attitude when he's on the court. And that's unfortunate because I like Randall as a player. I think he has a lot of qualities that I like, but then there are a lot of qualities of his that I don't like, which is this immaturity on the court, his immaturity of not understanding when he needs to keep it about basketball and not do other things. And it's less about his sort of thumbs down thing wasn't a big thing for me. It was the other antics. You know what I mean? It was a constant arguing with the refs and not getting back on defense. It's his lack of attention on the offensive and defensive end, things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, he could be a great person, off the court. I don't know him, you know what I mean, personally. I'm only going by what he does on the court. So, and for me, it's you got to give 100% when you're on the court, and you got to be locked in, especially if you are our number one option. That's just what it is.
I agree with that too. That's been my biggest thing. The thumbs down thing was, I didn't like it, but
whatever.
Like I said, I moved on from that. It's the other stuff that bothered me more. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Right. And salute Knicks 100. Good to see you, Keith Turner. Man, listen, I hear you, bro. If we can get rid of some of those vets that are either dead weight or just aren't necessarily what we need to move forward as an organization, as a franchise, I'm all for it. I think doing that alone makes our team better. Just by getting rid of them, we become a better team going into next year. But we got to see because, we do know who the coach is, and we still haven't seen the front office put their foot down with their direction and say, this is the way we're going. This is how it's going to go. Tibbs is our coach. He's going to coach the players we got out there, and he's going to follow our lead with regards to the personnel. How he wants to use them, fine. But we'll put it out there. He knows he needs to use them in some sort of way. We haven't seen that yet.
Well, we know Tibbs got, 3 more years left on his contract? Or with the option of the 5th? Possibly.
2 more.
Is it a 4-year deal?
Yeah. No, I think it was a 5-year. So he's got 2 more and an option of a 5th because he's already been here 2, right? Yeah.
So we know that that's where we at. That's the timeline, at least in my opinion. So where's the direction remains to be seen. We'll see what happens on draft day. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens before the season starts. Because if we stick with the team that we have now, we know who we are. We're a 40-win team, if that. Well, how many wins we got this year? 30. Did we get 40?
We did not get 40.
We didn't get 40. We got what, 38? 36. What was our final? We should know this, right, as Knicks fans?
No, I've already forgot, man. Negative stuff I try to forget in life.
It's one of those Knicks and Bruises. Is a Knicks and Bruises episode. Shout out to Tony Crow.
This might be a therapy session for Knicks and Bruises.
Facts. By the way, my Yanks just won 3-2 against the Toronto Blue Jays. That's what's up.
We finished 37 and 45. And salute to you and your Yankees.
That's right. Yeah, 37. So we're a 37, 36 win team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we gotta take it to next year, looking at that outcome. That's who we are. We can't say we're a potential nothing. This is who we are. We won 37 games. So
that's true. It's true. Salute to
Jarvis.
Into
next season, that's what we're gonna be.
You ain't lying. I think we'll be better next year, but you're right.
That's optimistic. Right. That's being optimistic, right? We're all gonna be optimistic. We're all gonna be optimistic because we've seen some good behavior towards the back end of the season. We've seen some young players play a lot better when given the minutes. So, of course, optimism is there's nothing to be had other than optimism. But we can't call ourselves a 50-win team. We can't call ourselves a playoff team because we haven't been able to consistently make the playoffs. Not with this team and not with other teams that we had in the past. So until we start making that consistent, like the 90s, some would even say the Spreewell Houston era, where you what did they make the playoffs? Maybe once during that time, twice, possibly, because we got bumped early if we did, right? Outside of that Houston, that Larry Johnson, miracle shot.
Yeah, sometimes people forget. They think that team was. It wasn't a bad team, but it wasn't as good as that one season made it look like. That one season where we got to the finals and then lost to the Spurs.
Right. If it was pretty much an average team that just overcame a lot of odds, I should say.
Yeah, but I tell you, they were balling that year though. They did look good, and when Patrick was healthy, that team was going.
Right.
What's up, Keyshawn? Good to see you. And once again, I don't know, Jarvis LaFleur, salute to you. I don't know if you heard me, but yeah, definitely salute to you, brother. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a minute. Um, I think that one of the problems that we're gonna see that's gonna creep up is you got to be careful what you wish for. We're gonna get rid of these vets. I think maybe if we got 4 vets we need to get rid of, I think we'll get rid of 2, which I'm okay with.
I'm
Sometimes you
okay
can't
with
get
that.
rid of everybody,
Right.
but the more vets you get rid of, the more young bodies that need to play. And we're going to run into that situation where we start saying, these guys still ain't playing, because now, what are you going to do? Now you got other young guys that are ahead of them, and you can't see everybody. You just can't.
There's 8 or 9 spots because Tibbs ain't going past that. There's 8 or 9 spots to get. And at some moment in time, it's dependent on injuries or other things related to, COVID or whatever, that may give a young player an opportunity to play more minutes. We're probably got to really stress heavy that you're going to see only 8 or 9 for the majority of the season play in games this season or next season coming up. So, if you keep Burks, he's playing. You know what I mean? If you keep Fournier, he's playing. Randall, he's playing. Barrett, he's playing. And Barrett is one of the young players, so I don't commit to saying Barrett is, but he's been in the team for how many years in the league now? He's coming up on his 4th season.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
this is the season.
Actually, this was year 3 for RJ.
This the one that just passed. Right. So he's coming in year 4.
Coming up on his 4. I see what you did there. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. So he's an automatic. Now you just have to fill the other spots. And if you bring him back Mitchell Robinson, you would assume he has a spot because Nerlens Noel missed an entire season.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the Knicks, I'm trying to find, a way to, release Noel. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I mean? Get some sort of value for him, something. If you can't, release him. Because at this point he's taking up someone's spot. He's taking up time for Sims. Sims, I just think should get an opportunity.
Right. We'll see what happens, man. And let me just tell you, you broke your little good news. It's tough for my Metsies. They're going into the bottom of the 9th down 5-2. And right now, the only highlight of this Met game is they showed Donovan Mitchell in the crowd. So, listen, he belongs here, man. He's a Met fan. You know what I mean? Like, let's start playing around.
His dad worked for the Mets. So
I know. It only makes sense.
It only makes sense that they look into it. You know what I mean? He has so many close ties to New York. It makes sense that they look into it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you focus as a front office and you say, okay, we need to build this team around RJ. What's his best option? You bring in a guy like Mitch. You know what I mean? You bring Mitch back and then you make a move for Donovan Mitchell. That would be my move.
I hear you. Hey, here's one. I don't even want to say it. I'm going to say it because, why else am I here, right? Before we get out of here, there's just one trade scenario that I saw from the NBA Analysis Network as well. I didn't bother to grab it so that we can view it because it's an
ugly one.
The Brooklyn Nets
Kyrie
would get Julius Randle and Alec Burks, and the New York Knickerbockers would get Ben Simmons.
Right now, it's tough to say because he hasn't played a game and he's having all of these personal issues. But if he didn't have personal issues, he didn't have, it looks like there's a more serious issue with the back. You know what I mean? I'm not biting on that. Not anymore. Now they would have to
Honestly,
prove to me that it isn't a chronic back situation, and that
right.
Simmons' depression is, or this sort of mental illness that he's dealing with right now. I wouldn't even call it depression. His mental illness is it's at a better place, because I don't think that. I mean, I take that seriously. I know people who've dealt with that. So for me, I would say that if it's handled properly and it's watched over, I would say if they got it in a good place, I would make that move if there isn't a chronic back issue. If there's a
Well, I'll
chronic
tell you
back
one thing.
issue, I'll stay away.
I don't think I would ever even consider a Ben Simmons trade ever again. Because my whole thing is, if his personal issues weren't an issue,
Mm-hmm.
then we couldn't even try to trade for him, because he'd be valued and things would be working out where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that he was able to get out of one situation that he wasn't happy with and go into a brand new situation, unknown, that could turn out to be something fruitful, playing alongside two star players in the NBA, superstar players, and you're still at a level of not being comfortable, and it's not a good fit right now. I just don't think you want to touch
Listen,
that.
mental illness is not to mess with, man. Mental illness
No,
could
I
take
know.
you
That's
so
what I'm
many
saying. I just
different
don't think
ways.
you want to touch that. I
You
just
don't want
think,
to touch it. You have to have it in a better place, right? If
and
they
first
know
off,
they could get it in a better place, right? Because at any
right. And the
moment,
other thing I was going to say, and this is, I'm not going to knock them in regards to how they deal with, mental issues, but the
right?
Knicks organization hasn't shown me that they deal with anything outside of basketball
Oh,
in a
absolutely.
good
Right.
way. So let's
100,
not take
100,
on another thing that I don't know if they can
100.
deal
I
with.
100 agree with you there. You're right
Yeah,
about that.
let's
When you look at what
stay
the
away
Knicks
from
have
that
done
type of
and what
stuff.
they're doing now, if they can't
Hmm.
handle the slightest bit of urgency when it comes to how they handle Randall's situation,
Hmm.
you can't marry that to
It
the New
it
York
doesn't
front
make any
office, man.
sense.
I'm with you
Like
there. I'm with you there.
I don't. It's like one of them weird jokes. Like a blind man can see that coming. Like you
Right,
just
right,
can't
right.
do it.
You don't touch it. Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I know this has been a funky show to start. Like I said, we had the craziest technical difficulties. All my fault, and I'm a big man to admit this. But it is what it is. And salute to Cully. I see you. Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Um, hey, Jose, do you have any words for the people? Anything you want to say? There you go, folks. um, I think as time moves forward, we're gonna have a much better idea about what this Nick team can turn out to be. Right now, it's just, I keep saying it, guys. It's so early. All we can do is speculate and talk right now, because
Right.
basketball is still being played and our team is not playing it. So all we can do is
Right.
wait until things get quiet, where we can actually see something that pops up where we can, hey, okay, this might make sense. This is moving this way, but right now it's, what else we're gonna do? You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, I'll tell
So
you this as
John,
an update, quick update.
hmm,
Well, I'll let y'all all know that the Heat took the first game, 106-92. So that's a quick update. So
now
they
that
got the
is
first game of
interesting.
the series,
I'm surprised that the Heat were able to win that. I mean, that's
and no Embiid. So
yeah, that's no. I'm just joking, guys. Of course, I think the Heat will win this series. I think
right,
the Heat will actually sweep Philadelphia. I think it's going to be. It's not only is it very tough for a team like Philadelphia to deal with a great defensive team like the Heat is. They also have. They're never. You got a guy in James Harden who just came to this team, and since he's been here, he's been Robin.
right.
Embiid
But
has
he's
been
played well
Batman.
today. He played well today.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. But
Yeah.
you know what? Now he has to be in a situation where he's got to carry the load.
Mhm.
So it's not easy, especially when you got a team like Miami that says, okay, Harden is the number one guy, so let's try to do what we can to take him out. And as much as Harden played a good game today, because I saw what he was doing at half,
Mhm.
I guarantee you the next game, Miami's going to have a better game plan for him. So,
Right. And
yeah,
Phoenix
that's
is
just
right
one of
now
those
playing,
things.
and they're up against the Mavs. I also think that one's going to be a sweep too.
You think so?
Yeah, they may get one, but I'm calling a sweep on that series.
That, maybe they could use a guy like Julius Randle over there in Dallas. Just saying.
Who do we
Anyway.
get? All the players we gave them.
Right. I honestly don't think Mark Cuban wants to deal with the Knicks for like another 4 or 5 years. Like, let me get the bad taste out of my mouth first, and then we can talk again.
Exactly.
Anyway, man, thank you guys for tuning in once again. Appreciate you. Angel Torres, I see you in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Lewis Wilkinson, thank you guys, man. Show's about to finish, but definitely if you just tuned in, watch the replay, man. See what we talked about. We talked about a couple of things with a couple scenarios, and one thing I didn't mention because this is more of a hometown feel good story. I did see there's some stuff out there about possibly maybe the Knicks go after Theo Pinson and make him the 15th guy on the team again because Theo Pinson just made everybody else feel good about themselves.
We definitely missed him. Hey, replace him with Noel. He didn't play anything for us.
I'm doing that in a heartbeat. Yes, get Noel out of here. Bring me Theo Pinson. Anyway, John, any final words?
As always, stay blessed, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.
He said it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Salute to the chat once again. Appreciate you guys. As always, look out for us on Thursday for the NBA report on the Nothing But Knicks network, and also on Saturday, 11 a.m. for the Know the Ledge. And I mentioned it before, but once again, if you guys haven't had a chance, go to Nothing But Knicks. They're going to have a draft party in Atlantic City at the Flagship Hotel. There's going to be a buffet situation the night of the draft where, everybody will be chopping it up, talking about the draft, watching it live. And then the next day, they also have a second thing. So if you want to stay for a day and a half or 2 days, whatever, they're going to have a brunch type buffet type thing. And they might even do some, maybe some games or something, who knows? It might include a basketball court. Just saying. So, and you never know who's going to show up there, who Nothing But Knicks is bringing in. I wish I could be one of those people there. I don't know. Maybe things will work out. I know John can't make it. Maybe I'll figure out a way to head down there because I had a good time last year, but we'll see. But thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, as I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans. We'll be back again. We're at 692 subscribers, guys. We're getting close to 700, man. You could see it in the air, man. It's there. It's like the number 700. I see it. We're getting there. So definitely, guys, tell your peoples about us. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already done so. We'll see you on the next one. It's always a pleasure to be here. Take care. Have a great rest of your night. We out of here.